Snobs podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Scene Snobs podcast. I'm your host, Mick Manhattan, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, producer Paul. What's up, buddy?
Not much, just causing trouble, switching haunts to work at this season, usual shit, usual stuff.
I like it. We're going to get talking about those haunts in just a few, because that's going to be a great topic tonight, because tonight we have ghosts. That's right. And maybe a Ouija board will pop in. I don't know if Paul's ready. No, I won't do that to you. I want to do a seance on the show, like a live seance.
I'll do it with you. There's no problems here.
Oh, okay, cool. I might go get it in the middle of the show then. I will say this, though, getting into that, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about ghosts, goblins, and ghouls, and everything else in between tonight, because it is a week before Halloween. We're super stoked. Our Halloween live special is next week. We're going to do a Halloween party mixtape episode. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have some great guests there along the ride. It might be an extra long episode, so make sure to come in for it. And we will be reviewing Rosemary's Baby and Apartment 7A individually, and we're going to do a comparison of the two movies, considering one's a prequel now to Rosemary's Baby. So we'll get there. We'll talk all about it and more. Thank you guys for joining in. I want to thank you to our sponsors of this episode. We appreciate you, StubHub. It's the World Series coming up. My Yanks are in it. They're playing the Dodgers, who I'm also love. That's my favorite NL team. So they're going to be playing each other. What better way to get tickets if you want to go than StubHub? Go to StubHub. They also have great comedy tickets. They have other great venues and stuff and other great things you can go see. So get your tickets there down in the link below. We appreciate it. Shows a lot of love to us. Shows them that, we're doing our job. And we appreciate you guys jumping in. Thank you guys so much for jumping in, by the way. And if you guys want to stay in the know, one more announcement before we get to the topics. You got to join the Patreon, either free or paid tiers. All have their perks, but the free tier, you can watch this show live. You can watch the show anytime afterwards. Otherwise, you're going to be seeing it on clips on YouTube, or you can listen to it on any podcast platform, of course, that's out there and available to everybody. So go check it out. But if you want to watch it, follow us. I just put out the new newsletter today. Some more movie news is going up later, and there's a ton of other stuff going on as well. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Paul, we were having a pretty good conversation in the back.
We sure were.
Before we got started, we really were having like just a fun one, in my opinion. And do you want to elaborate a little bit more on like what we were talking about?
I'm not 100% specifically what we were talking about, so I'll let you go ahead and remind me, because we talked about a lot in a short amount of time. I'm not gonna lie.
We were talking about how Paul is what I call a horror guy.
Yes.
So we're figuring it out more and more, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think I know what I need to do now, Paul. I figured you out.
Okay. At least someone has.
So I figured you out to a sense. All right. I don't want to get hopes up. I'm no doctor. Okay. I will try my best. But I think I figured it out in the sense that you predominantly, in terms of movies, it's horror. That's where you identify. And I'm not using that term for any other reason than like as your persona, your personality, horror is a big identifier.
Yes.
And now this is a show that is not really just horror. We celebrate all movies.
Yes.
And you've been doing great with that, except for the fact of how you feel about Caddo Lake, but we'll get to that later. But what I love is you've like went in, and I've always appreciated that about you. So this is complimentary, just so you.
Thank you.
You went in, so like you will try and watch a lot of movies that you may not really give a chance otherwise doing the show, talking to me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to now treat this. I realize that now, and I want you to be a horror guy, but I need you to be a movie guy.
Okay.
And I promise you, it's not for the sake of this show. It'd be a great help. It's the sake of you. Okay. You're getting into filmmaking. So I think it's time for a boot camp of movies, not just horror. There will be. Don't worry.
Right.
Not just horror, to help you become a better filmmaker in different areas.
I like it.
So I think like going forward, my mixed movie picks and stuff like that is going to be more directed towards like those things.
Hell
I'm going to make you a movie guy yet, my friend. Turn you around.
Sounds good to me.
Because that's what we do here at the Scene Snobs. We preserve film the best we can because we love this. And we know you do too. So topics tonight, though. Nothing to do with no, a little bit. We're going to talk some ghost hunting, paranormal stuff, paranormal shows, like maybe stuff we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I also do want to talk the haunts, and let's start with the haunts. You've been working a few this year?
Yes, I have.
Can you talk about which ones you've been working?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I'm just know NBA. So I was at a local haunt to Greensboro out there in Archdale, North Carolina, called Spooky Woods. I was there for a little bit of time the past 3 weekends. We'll just say we had a disagreement about a certain thing, and they caught me coming off a funeral, and it just didn't end well. And I was like, I'm taking myself out. Y'all have a good day. And we just left it at that. So I went back to my old stomping grounds back at Woods of Terror, which is also in Greensboro. So I worked there this past Sunday, and I miss those guys. It was nice. It was kind of like almost coming home, like everyone being, where you been, this and that. It's kind of nice being back there. I'm not going to lie.
Paul, you bounce between haunts.
Yeah.
Like a firecracker.
Yeah.
You're just like, you're ready to
That's
go.
exactly what happened.
So I'm going to put you in the hot seat.
Ooh, I like it.
Which is the better haunt in Greensboro?
If you have a family, I would say the more family-oriented one is going to be Spooky Woods. I will say their sets are amazing, and I will say maybe 1 or 2 of their sets may outdo Woods Terror, but I will say as a young adult or a person of just horror, you'll get more out of Woods of Terror because you get the concert, the boutiques, all that. They got the bars there. It's very themed. They just added a attraction there called the Baba Yaga, and they did it good. It's about a 2-story haunt that you get to walk through starting from upstairs. And I will say that's pretty amazing.
That's
plus, awesome. And I'm there too, you guys. So come to Woods of Terror.
We'll see. Maybe next week somewhere else.
Lake Hickory would be the next one.
In the freezer of some dude's basement.
I like it.
Because he went to Woods of Terror and yelled at him. You yelled at one serial killer. Oh man,
that'd be awesome.
You'd be
It'd be like that. It'd be that movie we're reviewing. It'd be I'd be the woman from what's that movie called?
Woman of the Hour. You'd be the Paul.
Thank you. Yeah,
Paul of the Hour is ready to go. I do what I always do, and I always forget when we're recording. Make it go like that because I always set the designs of the graphics to this, and then I have to reset them if I always screw up because I'm an idiot. So if you're watching this or listening to this later, that's what happened.
Enjoy. It's a little things.
But honestly, like with Woods of Terror, though, did you see Dead City Circus? Our buddies over at Dead City Circus.
I did not.
They were there one weekend.
Yeah, I think they're coming. I think they're usually Fridays and Saturdays, and I was there only on Sunday. Might catch them next weekend. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to be there all weekend or just go on just Sundays for now because they only got 3 more weekends, and 2 of those weekends I got stuff going on, so I might only show up for a day here and there.
All right, that's fair. Well, listen, if you see him, tell him. I said, don't mix it.
I will. I'll make sure.
You won't. You're going to make me watch some stupid Belgian film from 1958. I'm not going to say hi to our friends for you.
Oh, I'm all about it. Let's do it.
How'd your horror movie watch been go?
Oh, it's been amazing. I've been loving every second of it. I just plowed through out of kind of almost a guilty pleasure because I know the movies aren't the greatest, but I plowed through all the Leprechaun movies this weekend.
Oh, God. You know what? I don't know about all of them, but there are like when he goes to space, that's a tough one. Although Debbie Dunning is in that, the second Tool girl for anybody who doesn't know what I mean, and that was cool. So that was a highlight.
They're ridiculous though.
That is a cool watch though. It was fun, and I honestly I've been kind of out of my element. I haven't been watching all the regulars this year.
Okay.
I've been doing the Patreon watch, stuff I've seen, but stuff like I never even would have thought or I haven't seen to put on the list. And it's been so much fun. Just kind of riding along. Like today's movie is The Last Exorcism.
Ooh.
First time watch for me.
Really?
Yeah.
The POV one.
Yeah. I thought it was
never
great.
watched it. I love that movie. I fall asleep to that a lot.
It was so good. I did I've watched The Exorcism of Emily Rose and a bunch of those other exorcisms of this, exorcism of that. The Last Exorcism I knew about, haven't had a chance to see. And it was put on my list. Thank you to the Patreon members who put it on my list. And I'm going to be doing a Christmas one too. So hopefully you guys will jump in on that. But
that blow-in job.
God. I wonder if the horror guys get the Christmas horror movie list. It's just all.
You're welcome. It's gonna be Krampus, Return to Krampus, Krampus for Santa. It's gonna be all those type ones.
There's 2. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this now. The Krampus thing is over. Find something else horror Christmas to figure out. You guys are killing it. It's not, you guys beat it with sticks and then like stared it in the eye and said, all right, let's go get crowbars. It's dead. It's dead. Leave Krampus alone for like 10 years. Okay. Then bring it back or something. And it will be fresh and it will be new. It's like zombies. It's like I don't know. It's like there's a point where you have to just be like, enough.
Right.
We need enough. There's enough zombies. I feel like we're at that point. They're still making Walking Deads, which I'm infuriated by. They're still making all this different stuff. But I feel like the craze of zombies has kind of gone.
Yeah.
And thank God, because I'm over zombies and Krampus for a while. I have enough. I have enough. Stop oversaturating. It's like podcast zombies and Krampus are just too much right now. There's too many of them. By the way, check out our new podcast.
Unless you guys are making new Train to Busan, like part 2 or something, then
they did. They made a sequel.
Did they?
Yeah, Peninsula.
I didn't know. I haven't watched Peninsula. See, I'm going to watch that right after this now.
Oh, good luck. It's not Train to Busan.
Oh,
it's not Train to Busan. I'll tell you that.
Like,
right now.
Not as good, or just sad, or
it's not anything as Train to Busan. Like Train to Busan was a special movie,
right?
And this is a sequel. That's all I'm going to say. Which is funny because, again, in theme tonight with things that we're reviewing, we're reviewing a movie that's a sequel, a direct sequel from a year ago that I think is a massively better movie, and we'll get to that. So, yeah, and I can't wait to have those conversations. But I want to talk about not just haunts. I want to talk about ghosts.
Yes,
because I haven't really been to any haunts. I'm going to a haunt this weekend. It's my first one. We're doing some of the fun fall festival stuff and things like that, but like, just no real haunts. I think Jack's still a little too young for like the main ones, and Tommy, he's not a horror guy. He's just not interested. It's all right. It's all right. But listen, I'm a movie guy, so it's okay. So I can connect. But I will say, it's nice just doing all like the fun fall Halloween stuff. But I'm about to go find some hayride somewhere because these kids need to be scared the hell out of. That's all I'm going to say about that. They are really getting into the idea of like ghosts and the paranormal, and that was part of the reason I want to talk about stuff like this today. Because it's just been fun to kind of revisit. And what they didn't know was that I was an amateur ghost hunter years ago. Like, I think I stopped doing it in like 2003 or 4, something like that. Just because, and at that point, it became because when I say amateur, it's not like we were getting permits.
Right.
We're just going into places, all these famous places and such, and trying to find ghosts and using our shit, but like we weren't filming it. You know, you didn't want evidence. See, I grew up in a time when people talked about it, they're like, we don't want evidence. But now we live in a time where it's just kind of like free for all, nobody cares, and like you just let them do it at this point. Who cares, right? They're TikTokers, let them do it. I can't tell you how many times I died on ghost. Almost died on ghost hunts, and I'm not talking about monsters or ghosts or anything else.
Just getting in there and getting out, and all the asbestos
some of
and mold, black mold every fucking where that you're just breathing in for hours.
Everywhere. It's ridiculous. It's all asbestos. It's all disgusting. I've been in probably almost I'd have to go back and research it from the time, but there was like 7 or 8 abandoned mental hospitals. We were in. The slaughterhouses, the churches, the monasteries, the houses, the villages that were abandoned, this, that, all this stuff. Only one time, and I'm not even going to say it was a ghost. There was one time I can say that there was an unusual sighting phenomenon that happened to me that was substantiated, but can no longer be. So don't sit here and be like, oh, you made that up. Probably. I'll say I agree with you right there. I'll just say, yeah, maybe I did. And I just don't remember it. And then my buddy agreed. But I'm not standing on this being a ghost. But I'll tell the story.
Yes.
We were driving. So like there was this thing called the Devil's Tree in Jersey. I knew how to get there. And like on that trail, there's a couple of other places too that like were considered haunted and scary. Like the Woman in White road, stuff like that, which every city and every town and everybody all has a Woman in White story. So I'm not, again, this is not me telling this story saying I saw a ghost.
Mhm.
I saw an unusual phenomenon that was substantiated by my friend who was sitting in the seat next to me in the passenger side while I was driving. That's all I'm going to say about that. I've told the story on all the shows. I've never said it was a ghost. Okay? I want to say that again.
Okay.
I'm not going to be harpooned by somebody who's like, you made it up. I'm like, I didn't make anything up. I don't know what I saw.
That's fair.
We were dry, but I'm going to describe it as I remember it and as it was substantiated to me. We were driving down this dark road. They had the glowing crossroad. Basically, it's just some dude to put a cross up with reflectors. And so when you hit your brakes, it glows red and it's supposed to scare you in your back seat, in your back window. Through your rear window. Knows about it. Most people think, oh, it's like painted in blood and that's why it's red. Like that does not how that works. It's bright. It's glowing. Oh, it's Satan glowing the cross. Why? Why would Satan do that? I don't think you understand religion.
That'd be so annoying if that was the case, though. Could you imagine that he's trying to like kill off some good children or something like that, then all of a sudden gets pulled away, and he's all of a sudden at that glowing cross, and he's like, "God damn it!
Oh,
like here I am,and then
that's
just warps
punishment.
back."
He's going to get every time he gets the soul, but whenever somebody brake lights that, it's right. That's hilarious. Yeah, because I don't know what it was about the brake lights could see it, like you could see it through the rear view, but when you were driving back that way, the headlights didn't hit it. So that's why it was the spooky idea of it, like, oh, it's red. So it was, again, we debunked it, and it was an old militant racist's house, like, and that's substantiated as well. We figured that out as well. So we kind of came back around, and we're going down that road. It is pitch black. This is in the hills of Jersey, up down near close to the mountains. And you're driving windy roads. You know them. You've seen them in North Carolina, in the Appalachians area. I'm not making fun of them. I just don't know how to say it your way.
Appalachian. No, it's Appalachian.
Appalachian Mountains. You said it wrong this time.
Appalachian.
Jake, you said it wrong this time. Did I say it right?
Appalachian. No. Yes. Oh. Appalachian. It's Appalachian. Yeah.
Well, you're welcome, North Carolina Appalachian community, whom I love. And I wish you all the best, especially Ash, with everything in Florida. So I had to add that in there, of course. Florida. But yeah, so we go out while I'm driving down this road. I don't want to tell the story because it sounds so stupid. I'm trying to stall. I'm trying to find more things to put into this stupid story because I don't want to say I saw a ghost. So I would take kids from school. They would pay me like, gas money and a few other bucks to take them to the Devil's Tree so they could go see it, or take them to like go see the glowing red cross. Well, we're driving down the road for the glowing red cross. The two guys in the back who paid to go are like fucking around, and they see the cross. They're like spooked out. Me and Lenny, who was one of my best friends up until the day he died. We're sitting. I'm the driver. He's the passenger. We used to do these runs every weekend, right?
Right.
We're driving down this dark ass road where all you can see ahead of you is what the headlights can see. So I'm driving. I see what looks like a woman standing in the road with a long white dress, just standing there. I can't make out her face, can't make out anything. It's just long hair, white dress, dark hair. My stomach is growling right now with fear telling this story. Remember, and that is what I've always saw. That is what I said from that night until now. And what happened was we're driving towards it, and then it just comes at the window and disappears. I was terrified that night. I will say that. That was 100% true. When I saw that, now I have admitted to hallucinating on the show. I have admitted to mental health disorders on this show. Again, I don't want to be locked up for saying I saw a ghost. I'm just telling you what I saw that night. It could be anything. But what's weird about it is I kept my mouth shut and just kept driving while I was in shock, terrified. And I was like, there's no way I saw what I saw. There's no way that in all of the shit that I did, that I saw the thing that I saw, until Lenny opened his mouth and goes, holy shit, did you just see that? And I go, what the fuck did you just see? And he goes, I saw that woman standing in the road and then fly at us. And the two guys in the back go, what are you talking about? And then like, that was that. He stood on him seeing a ghost for like the 26 years. And I stood on, I don't know what I saw. I'm just telling you what I saw, but I'm not saying what that was.
That's fair.
So take with that what you will. There's only one other time that a ghost story came true for me, but it wasn't a ghost, and I know that.
Okay.
It was somebody living up the lore, if so to speak.
That's cool.
And I'll happily tell you that story, but I want to hear one from you first.
Okay, so I was down at Disneyland and I went to a haunted mansion, and let me tell you, ghosts fucking everywhere. 10 out of 10. I don't know if I have any quite good ghost story. Like the only one I have is kind of like, I guess one it's a friendly one. So my grandfather was living with us his last 3 years of his life. On the middle level of our house, if you will, and I was in the basement. And every morning about 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., he'd just walk around. Like that just was his thing. He'd pop awake, he'd just pace around the middle floor, walk in the kitchen, living room, just walk around for a bit and go back to bed. Unfortunately, when he passed away, that just continued for about a year. And my friends refuse to believe me, and anyone that knows my parents, they go to bed at fucking 7:30 or 8 o'clock, and they're not moving till 6. And he'd be like, no, that's 100% your mom or dad. And I'm like, go up there. There's no one awake upstairs. I guarantee if you run up there, and countless friends run up there and be like, I didn't see anybody. I'm like, yeah, it's just my grandpa. It's the only time I will say something like that. I've had, I don't know what the correct term is, spiritual occurrences. Because when I was with the circus, I was trying to find a real psychic. So I was like, I'm traveling 43 states a year. Let me go ahead and start going to psychics in all these states and see if I find a real one. The closest I came was this rinky-dink little neon sign in the window in Brooklyn, New York. And I was with circus friends, and they were about to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, which is right across from Barclays Center. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go block up here. I see, a little psychic place. Let me knock it out. And I barely took 4 or 5 steps towards it, and this woman comes busting out the door. And it kind of freaked me out. And she's like, are you Paul? And I was like, yes. And she's like, do not come in my fucking store. And she shut the door, turned the open light off, and I sat there for like 10 or 15 minutes and was like, what the fuck was that? And
maybe like an enemy called her and was just like, listen, Paul's a real dick. Anything can happen. But not good. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I don't. I err on the side of skepticism.
Same.
And it helps me because like at night when I hear noises, I'm like, I check the ring and I'm like, oh, nobody broke in. I'm going back to sleep because I don't believe in demons. I don't think ghosts are haunting me at all. And if anything, ghosts have way better things to do than haunt anybody, unless they're just dicks, and then that's kind of funny.
When I'm gone, you guys, you're gonna enjoy. So in 60 years from now, when you listen to this podcast, y'all, I'm gonna haunt y'all. I'm gonna find you guys.
I'm telling you, Lenny's not haunting me right now. There's no way ghosts exist because that dude would choose it.
That's fair.
He would choose unless it's like you do straight go to heaven or whatever it is, like however it all works out. But I'll tell you that lady ghost is scary.
I get that.
That was because it was just such a weird thing. The second time, because the Devil's Tree has an old lore that they used to hang slaves from it, and like there's always like a lore like that in every town too, where it's this tree, this spot, Sleepy Hollow, one of them.
Yeah.
It's this thing, and it's like, so this particular one has, I guess, goes back a long way, but like in the 60s, like it was always the black ghost truck that is a black pickup truck that chases you, and for years it's always been like that. Well, that happened to me while I was there, running another tour. Parked down at the end. We're up at the tree, and then there's just like 4 of us, and then a black pickup truck rolls up and just like first off like rip roars around the bend, like where the tree is, and like we were kind of hiding behind the tree, but you're gonna see my car right there. Perfect. So we get to the point where we see the truck coming back. We're like, fuck, and we're like far from the car.
Right.
Like they'll be at the car before we can run to it if they see us. And they have their giant high beams on. And they like screech and like come to a point where their headlights are pointed right at the tree. By this point, I have everybody single file behind me behind the tree.
Right.
I'm like, fuck. I'm like, this is not the group that's going to fight. I was like, this is not like, if this is a horror movie,
right?
This is like having Dwight from The Office, like Dwight, Andy Bernard, and Michael Scott, the parkour guys, with you to fight like 6 guys getting out of a pickup truck with shit. Like, again, I know this isn't ghosts.
Right.
These are guys who are upholding the idea and the lore of the town, and probably willing to beat the shit out of people who are from far away. So I was like, we're gonna die. That's what this comes to. If we can't get to that car, we can't get away. We're gonna die. And like one dude was like, maybe we should talk to him. Like, you need to shut up. Do not say a word. Do not talk. When I say go, you turn around and you beeline it into that field as far as you can go until I tell you to stop.
Right.
Like, these guys are calling for us. Like, we know you're up there. Come out. Come on, tapping their thing. And this is like 2 a.m. Nobody's coming around that bend. There's no cops around. There's no closest place is like 2 miles away is a farmhouse. It's not happening. This is a horror movie we are in, and we are not living in a movie. We're gonna die. So God knows what else they have on them in terms of firearms. So I'm like waiting. I'm like, I don't want to run farther away from the car if they're not coming up. If they just decide to get in their car and fuck with us some more, maybe peel out, then we can just run to the car and get the fuck out of here. At least then we have a fighting chance to run from them.
Right.
You know, that's my thinking at this point. But I'm like, they're not getting back in their car, but they're not coming up to the tree either. So I'm like, we have a chance. Just stay quiet. Just stay quiet. Let them get bored. Probably drunk, probably hanging out. They want to live the lore. They want to see if there was anybody up the tree on a Friday night. Let's just shut up. Well, they start moving towards it. Like, fuck it. All right, we're not going to hurt you, but we're going to come for you. And then they start coming towards us. I'm like, guys, beeline it. Just stay straight line and run. And everybody starts running, right? And I'm staying behind just in case. Like, run. Now we all get to this point. I feel like a brush of wheat, and I realize tall wheat. Get down. Throw them all down. They're up by the tree. They're banging on a tree. Come out, wherever you are, trying to scare us and shit. We waited like 40 minutes in that like little like wheat. I was like, this ain't gonna happen. They finally get in their truck and we see them zoom away. We hightail it all the way down to the car. Lenny left my goddamn passenger side door open. Rest in peace, buddy. But come on, man. They could have gotten in. He was like, I was like, I don't care. I was like, fuck. So we get in the car, start it up. We're going, right? These guys are like, oh my God. Oh, that's so crazy. Are we going to do the 3 bridges? Because there's another thing called the 3 bridges. And you cross one bridge, you go 1, cross second bridge 2, cross third bridge, and you stop the car and you turn everything off, and you're supposed to hear scratches on the top of your car.
Oh,
right?
That's cool.
That's another lore at a different part, but you have to go through it to leave and like go back where you gotta go. The main highways and stuff. We're in the backwoods here, dude. The main highway is a good while away. I know this. And these guys are like, can we stop there? I'm like, we almost just died. That would have went real bad if these guys were even more eager. I was like, they might be waiting us out.
Right.
And I'm like, they're like, what? I'm like, they're probably waiting us out. Oh, can we just try? We have to go that way anyway. They paid, so fuck it, let's do it. So I get in. Now this road is pitch black, Paul, and you have to turn everything off for it to work. You can't hit the brake lights. You can't do anything. It has to be pitch black. Paul, I swear on my children, and I don't swear on my children. We did the thing. We did 1, 2. We get to 3rd. We shut everything off. Right, Paul. Goddamn headlights came on behind us.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if they were creeping and we couldn't hear them. They stayed far enough away. Goddamn headlights came on behind us, Paul. I start her up. That became a rip-roaring Dukes of Hazzard fucking. I stopped for no lights. I stopped for no stop signs. We were passing the quarry on the most windy road ever, and I was hitting 75 easy on it.
Right.
And they were on our tail the entire time. Maybe sometimes not even a car length. Now imagine a windy road and they're not even a car length away from you.
Yeah.
And they want you dead for some reason. When I tell you it came down to, I'll tell you right now, for anybody, 287. I had to get on 287 and that was the race. I had to race to 287. Now, anybody from New Jersey might be like, oh, well, you could use this road, you could use this. I didn't know. I knew a direct path to get to Bernardsville, and that was 287 is what I needed to get back to where I needed to go. And for anybody who's from Jersey too, and I said Bernardsville, you know what I'm talking. So I go and I speed, and we're going up. It's like 20 feet away, and like I don't want to let them know I'm getting on 287. So like, you know how it like veers off this way, dude. Last minute, pulled over all the way. got on the ramp, freaking screeching out, and they kept going forward. That was the scariest. And that isn't even one of the times where I almost died in a physical way.
Right.
So people, what I'm trying to say to you is don't be amateur ghost hunters.
Mm-hmm.
I'll save the next one for another story where we went to the mental hospital and guy was looking for Steve and we almost got killed by cops, Satanists, drug addicts. Oh, and I'm not even kidding about the Satanist part.
I believe it.
That was like Judgment Night. That movie was like Judgment Night. We walked into something. It was Judgment Night, the horror movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not telling that story right now. I went a little overboard and I got more Halloween next year.
Hell yeah.
But with all that being said, let's get into real ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, like,
I don't think
what kind of ghosts are they?
You see, I don't know, because I've always battled like what like to put them on, because like people say they see their grandparents, they see a loved one, they see a sibling, and I'm not trying to deteriorate or take away from anybody because everyone experiences things different. And I'm not trying to shit on people that found comfort in something beautiful. But for me, but just in a personal sense, if I just don't know. Like, I believe they're there. I just don't think it's quite, if you died a horrific death, you become a ghost automatically type thing. Because otherwise, people die in horrific ways every day, and they have since the dawn of time. So everywhere would be haunted by those standards. So I definitely have a lot of questions, especially being raised more in the South, with all the horrificness of slavery and things like that. Why is everything not haunted? Because they weren't treated correctly at all, and that's not fair. So I don't know, to an extent. So like, I don't honestly know. So I know they're there, but I don't know what I believe. I'm like you. I'm more
sort of
skeptic.
like a presence more than like what we perceive in movies or TV shows as like a physical entity.
Yes,
it's more of like a presence and energy available. And I would say if there was, like, again, and this is a guy who said he saw a woman standing on the road that flew at him. I am rational enough to remember and think that I agree that, like, if I were to believe in any type of ghost,
right,
I would believe in an energy type of presence. It's more scientifically plausible in my mind,
right?
To think that energy stays, because energy does stay. But communicating with it now I would call it fun theory thought, in my opinion, and that's psychics. I don't believe in psychics. I believe in charlatans. I believe in empathic people.
Absolutely.
I don't know how the brain works, but I do know that empathic people, I do think, can sense things, energies and stuff like that. So what we again also perceive as psychic and all these abilities that we see in movies and stuff, I think oftentimes are maybe people can see something through that energy or feel something, like a message or something. I don't think it's as crystal clear as like many play it off to be. And I will tell you, for anybody who wants to disagree with me, I went and saw 3 psychics in my life. 2 of them told me I was going to save the world, and the other one told me I was the protector of the world. Good luck. I don't know. I'm wearing a witch hat and doing a podcast. I don't know.
Snob Nation, baby. It's us. We're the ones. You're the chosen one.
I wish I had some sort of positivity power to bring on, because I don't have it. I'm not protecting or saving anything. So those psychics are charlatans. And 3 different ones from 3 different towns, and actually one was a different state, and the other one was in the same state in 2 wildly different parts of the state. So they can't have a psychic link. They're just telling everybody, tell this kid this.
Right. They got a group chat. They're like, ha, ha, ha.
This guy. No. And besides, the gods chose wrong. What I don't know what to tell you. But I do believe, like, if there's gonna be that, like, I don't believe in supernatural beings. I don't believe in vampires. I don't believe in werewolves. I don't believe in something like that. Now, am I saying that weird things that sort of coexist within the rationale of those creatures, like, are there anemic people who maybe like have like not a thirst for blood, but need for blood? Were there people who walked around like zombies because of the drugs they were taking and being buried a lot? Yes, absolutely. Right. So, like, I believe in like the stories, the rationales. Ghosts the only one for me where it's like I don't believe in them, but I could see the energy side of it. It's hard to argue that. That's why I never really try to like shit on it for anybody else.
Right. Yeah.
Psychics, I will. I'm not going to shit on people who feel like, if somebody does say that, somebody's like, hey, I feel like, I lost my mom and like she talks to me every night. Like, and I hate when like religious people especially are telling them like that's not it, that's God. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know who it is. And I'm not saying who it is or what your thing is. I'm not being them is what I'm saying.
Right.
So, but my point is like, what's the argument? Who cares if they believe it's God or they believe it's their dad who passed away or something?
Right. If it's helping your mental state, just let it happen.
You know, let these movies ruin you.
Yeah, that's why I stick to horror. Boom!
Ah, you brought it back around.
Boom, boom.
Okay, fair. That was good. That was a good one. All right, let's move on. Actually, we have like 5 movies to review tonight, and I'm excited to do each and every one. All right, before we get started, let me take off my hat. I need a break from the witch hat. It's nice. See my hair for the one.
Looks great.
Thank you. It's getting longer. I want to get it to a point where I can like style it a certain way I like that I used to. And right now it's just kind of like old man stupid, but it's the level on that. But I want to say thank you to everybody who's still watching. We're going to be heading and doing the reviews now. Make sure to join up on the Patreon. Like I said, follow us for free. Get our newsletter. You get a bunch of other perks. Doing a giveaway right now. If you guys don't know, we're going to be giving away either the popcorn tin or the souvenir cup, the Beetlejuice releases from AMC. That's 2 lucky patrons are going to take one of these home, each one of these home. Then we appreciate you for being a part of it. All you got to do to be eligible is be a part of the free or paid tiers, and you are good. We will put your name in it, and on Halloween night, we're going to spin the wheel, and 2 lucky winners will each be chosen to take one of these home. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to StubHub for sponsoring this. But let's get into our first review, which I'm super stoked for, and I know Paul's not. Caddo Lake,
yes,
which is a new movie that came out just the other day on Max this past weekend. Stars Dylan O'Brien, Eliza Scanlon. This is a story that takes place in Louisiana. I believe it was Louisiana. They kind of talked about the bayou where they were and such. It might have been Mississippi, but I think it was Louisiana, kind of where they were going for. It's different storylines kind of going on. One of it was about this guy who's like really works at this Caddo Lake because his mother died there. And he wants to kind of uncover what happened to her. She had a really bad seizure and they got into a bad car wreck. Then you get down to the other storyline where this young girl who is like kind of fighting with her family and her mother, and like her stepsister goes missing. So she's got to find her. And it all converges. And there's going to be a lot of spoilers tonight because we're going to really get into it. It all converges into what's going on with this time travel. And there's a paradox happening. And they all are connected. I went into this thinking it was a horror because actually it was sold to me as a horror from one of the Real Voice, who I like. Not sold. I shouldn't say sold to me. It wasn't sold like that, but he watches a lot of movies, but it's predominantly horror with him. He watched this and he was talking about it from an element of horror, and I do see it. This does have it's more of a thriller horror. If you're going that route, sci-fi thriller, because it does have that sci-fi. Paul is just a purist. It's not Terrifier 3. He doesn't think it's horror. So we have to argue this all the time. Because he's a horror guy, but he's the worst kind of horror. Light horror doesn't count unless it's for kids. And we'll be talking about that too later.
That's fair too. Yeah. That's accurate.
This I would not classify as horror. Classify as a thriller more because it does have very thriller-esque thing. But I do think thriller is a horror adjacent subgenre. That being said, I fucking loved this movie. The storylines go all over the place, but it ties everything up. It connects everything really well. The story is interwoven perfectly. I love the characters in it, all the different levels of like what's going on in this story and who these people are to each other. And before I give any of that away, I want Paul to tell you what he thought about this movie because we had wildly different ratings, which we'll give to you at the end. But Paul, why did you hate this movie? While I was over here, like I'm ready to watch it again.
This was the great value version of the Addams Project with Ryan.
Get the fuck out of here! No,
100%.
I will. I can't do the show.
I'm being honest,
but I'm giving you a high respect for that.
You
call
it literally
the great value version of what? Of
the Addams Project with Ryan Reynolds. This was that without the heartwarming moments. So it wasn't even a drama.
Oh my god!
Like there was I didn't give a shit about these characters, and it's easy to tie in everything when it's time travel because you can just be like, oh, time travel. That's how we all connect. We
That's
just meet each other at different
but
planes.
that's not how they all connect. Their stories are very much causing each other. Okay. Okay.
So just so you guys know where I'm at, I had to watch this 4 times to get through it. I kept falling asleep. My wife that loves this style of film fell asleep twice. Had to watch it 2 times. I missed the mark. I don't know. I'm gonna watch it again just after you talking about it.
I don't
See how
care if
wrong
you didn't like it. I don't care if you didn't like it.
but I missed something because
You must
love
have
it.
missed something, or because like Sturdy and I watched this together the other day, and like I was a little nervous with him because as we're watching, I'm like, this doesn't feel like horror, and I even sold him to it as a horror. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a horror movie, like, but I want to check it out. I was like, I don't know anything about it. I want to go into it, other than that one review I watched where he didn't spoil it either. And I was just like, I'm intrigued. I was like, he said it will leave you like just completely floored. And it did. And then seeing your rating, I'm just like, all right, this is so fucking condescending.
I'm sorry.
This is so
not sorry.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. This
but
is
it's
condescending and arrogant, but I have to say it. I have to say it.
Uh-oh.
I used to have a friend, right? It's the worst fucking review of all time. I used to have a friend, and he was a friend, but he was kind of an abrasive friend. He was kind of a dick to people, like, and he knew it. He knew that's who he was. But I still hung around with him, and I liked him. But when he was a big movie guy too, and he would, if I didn't like something, like especially like a really dramatic movie or something, like if I didn't like something or it made me feel something bad. And my first reaction was like, that was not a bad movie, but it just made me feel bad. Right. I don't dislike it, but I'm owning the emotion. Right. And I think that's what you have to do with movies. I think you have to own emotion if you really want to enjoy it. Whatever your emotion is right after. So if you hated it, but own it. You should always be asking yourself, why did I hate it though? What did it do to me? Not just putting me to sleep. Because putting you to sleep, you're doing the movie. You're doing the movie and yourself a disservice. Walking out one thing, falling asleep, you put yourself in a setting to be tired and fall asleep. So that's not a movie I would do that for. You fall asleep to comfort movies. Caddo Lake is not a comfort movie. It is far from it. But anyway, back to my friend. We watched a movie a long time ago, and it really viscerally changed me. I will never watch it again. It is one of the greatest war movies I've ever seen. It is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I've had to come to it, but I will never watch it again because it is honestly like I've seen 20 Days of Sodom. I've seen all that stuff. Terrible fucking movies, but they're movies. This is a movie that is the hardest movie I've ever seen, and it's heartbreaking, and it is everything, and it made me feel terrible. So when I walked away, when I first initially watched this with them, I walked away from it, and I was like, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I didn't, and I kept saying, I was like, I didn't like it. I don't want to watch that again because I felt terrible. I didn't think about it. I was going off. And this is the type of friend who would go, you just didn't get it. I hate people who say you just didn't get it. Because when people say you just didn't get it, they're dismissing they're dismissing your intelligence. They're dismissing who you are. They're not taking into account what conditions you were watching the movie, why you're feeling this way after the movie, what the movie is. So when I say that, I want you to know, I don't say this lightly. You just didn't get it.
That's fair.
And I did. And the reason that, and I know what the reason that is. I'm not saying you should like it.
Right.
I'm not saying change it. I'm urging you because I know you're smart. I know you'll get it. I think it's because you fell asleep and you were tired. And it is that type of movie that you cannot watch when you're falling asleep or tired. Because if you do, you're not going to get it. I do think that if you watched it again, you'd appreciate it for the filmmaking stuff. Watch it for a technical reason.
Okay.
Because
I can do that.
I don't think I'm conveying that portion of it to you. I did like the acting and I liked the vision. I liked the choices the characters were making. So like I did get invested in, but outside of that, from a technical filmmaking standpoint, I'm like, I like the minusculeness of the warp, the portal they go through. I like the physics that they're going through, that the rope can be tied through. I like that it's stuck between Caddo Lake, when they put the dam up and then when the dam comes down. There's that cool bookend to it. 52 to I think it was like 2022 is what they were kind of going for. And I liked how you find out her missing stepsister ultimately, who got transported in this portal that they didn't know was in the lake to 1952 and was hurt, was saved by Dylan O'Brien's character, who is a grown man at this point, trying to figure out his mom's death and all this stuff, saves this little girl. Right? And I'm telling them more of this, but saves this little girl. And the ramifications of saving that little girl and how it connects, I don't want to spoil that, because I do think people need to see that aspect of it. But the time travel aspect really plays into it. I liked how they did it. I like that the stories felt different when they were in different parts of time. They were filmed differently. Like sometimes they're darker, sometimes they're lighter, sometimes they're sunny, sometimes they're rainy. They really took their time when writing this. And I think this is a well-written script. Actually, I'd like to read the script for this. But I'm urging you and anybody else, watch this and try and appreciate the levels of connection. Yeah, Paul doesn't agree. So let's move on. Let's start rating to this one. So my rating to this one is 4 out of 5.
Yep.
Hear what you think.
Off the mark.
Paul gives a rating of 1.5 stars out of 5. Listen, to each their own. If you never watch it again, I won't be mad at you. I do think it's a good movie though, and I think people would really enjoy it. But any final thoughts on Caddo Lake before we move on?
Nope.
All right. We appreciate you watching this review, and let's move on to our next review, which is Monster Summer.
Yes.
Monster Summer is a movie that came out this year. It stars Mel Gibson, stars Mason Thames, who you've seen in The Black Phone. He's just in Incoming, which is a new Netflix film that came out, coming of age film. And he's in this movie. He plays a young upstart 8th grader wanting to be a journalist because his dad was a journalist, and takes place in like the 90s, so there's no like cell phones or anything, so it's like a cool nostalgic vibe to it. I thought Mel Gibson plays a former cop who is just kind of living his life, doing his thing, and this kid stumbles upon what might be a monster in his hometown, or possibly a witch, taking the kids and changing them. And it becomes this mystery that he teams up with Mel Gibson's character. I had such a fun time with this movie. This fits the theme of my fun guy summer movies. It had the right amount. It took the horror seriously. The witch, it was cool, and how it played out. Mel Gibson, say what you will. I mean, listen, whatever the guy's thoughts were when he was drunk, stuff like that. I've always maintained I've been a fan of Mel Gibson as a filmmaker. And honestly, as a guy, in the sense that out of all like the celebrities I see who are doing this, that, and the other thing, every time this dude screwed up, at least I can respect the fact that he came out and was like, yeah, I'm an asshole. I was drunk. I got a problem. But I said what I said, and I screwed up, and I need to make up for that.
Right.
I mean, if somebody holds himself accountable, I don't hate you for it. So, and holds himself accountable and tries to change it. So I've never been on let's ban Mel Gibson bandwagon. I love when he makes movies. I think he makes great movies. And when he acts in them, he was in a movie called The Boneyard this year, which I also reviewed. That was horrible. Let's put it this way. It's him, 50 Cent, and I can't even remember who the other guy was in it. That was like the big star name. And there was like some good known people in it who I've seen, good actors in lots of things. Completely miscast in this. But Mel Gibson plays an old Fed who comes to help him with the serial killer investigation. And that dude, this is how good of an actor he is. You can take a terrible movie and give him a role in it and say, this is your role. And that dude is not only going to act in the role, say your lines, but he probably rewrites his character to be more interesting, because he is a side character in The Boneyard. And this movie benefits from all of his acting in it. He delivers great performance, great narration, the whole nine. So to say with Monster Summer, which is a movie that I'm a little bit better acting, better actors in it, better storyline, things like that. He gets a monologue in this movie about his son and like what happened to his son in it. And I'm not going to ruin that either, but like I was like, if the Academy Awards was actually trying to reward acting and monologues, they would give him one for this.
Right.
In a movie called Monster Summer. That's how good this movie was. I had such a fun time with it. It is a great, like, in the vein of like, whereas Summer of '84 is maybe much darker, this is maybe a little more lighter, but it's not Spirit Halloween. It's not too light. There's actual stuff going on here. It's good. What did you think of this, Paul? Because I think we both were on the same page with this one.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I thought it was great. I told my nephews immediately, hey, this is one I think you guys will absolutely love. This kind of reminded me of Monster House to an extent. I get that's, it's not a live action, but it had kind of that feel. Like you said, it took the horror serious, gave you that feel good nostalgia of like your friend group and stuff, trying to figure out a mystery. I was intrigued. I couldn't, turn away from it. I don't think I haven't paused it for a second to, go do anything. So
yeah,
it's a good one. I say if you got a family and maybe, if Hocus Pocus is about your range right now, I think this is a safe one to watch with your kids over Halloween. It's not too much and it's enough that you'll enjoy it as an adult with your child. So
I almost feel like it was a missed opportunity for them to put it out so close to October, where this is a summer movie, Monster Summer. It's about this kid over summer. And I thought this would have worked well over the summer coming out because people like horror movies. It's a fun one. And then by October, it would have been on TV or been in streaming somewhere because then I feel it would have really hit its stride. I think the knock against this movie is that Mel Gibson's in it. He does have, and listen, there's some people who aren't going to feel the way I do, and they don't want to have anything to do with him. And that's perfectly okay too, because that's just how you feel, whatever. But I think that is a knock against this movie and how well it does. It was directed by David Henry, who was one of the kids on Wizards of Waverly Place. This is his directorial debut. He's a young guy too, so it was cool to see him kind of get in and do a good movie like this. I think he worked well with the kid actors. The kid actors felt very natural, and he was a pretty good kid actor. I remember watching a show with my nieces when it was on, and he was pretty good on it. And I think he's going to star in a new one. So at least he's still been in the business. He's been behind the camera for a little bit on TV, I think, and now he's taken on a movie. I really would like to see more from him.
Right.
I think he has a talent for it. So I'm anxious to see if there's something else that does get left open for Monster Summer 2. Could do it. I say go see this if you don't have any strong personal opinions about Mel Gibson, which honestly stop at this point. Stop having strong personal opinions about people you'll never meet.
That's fair.
Right. If you are interested in something like this, have fun with it. But that's our review. Our ratings for this, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and Paul gave it a 3 out of 5. So we're right there around the same. I think this is I want to push this one because I do think this is a good one to add to a kid's horror watch. It's like a Monster Squad and stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Definitely.
Love Monster Squad.
That's our ratings for it. Thank you guys for watching this review. Oh, excuse me. Let's move on to our next review. This is one that I'm doing by myself, but Paul's going to be here for the ride. It's The Apprentice. This is the one. It's the biopic. I don't know if this is a biopic. And I have a little rant, and I'm not getting political about it. I'm getting biopicky about it. Very biopicky today. I watched this movie. I have been saying, and I'm just getting this out of the way, and it's not a political state. I grew up in Jersey City, New Jersey. I knew about Donald Trump long before anybody else did, and the Trumps and who they were, and I've always heard these things. 90% of the crap in this movie and I'm not calling it crap, I'm just saying, but the stuff you see in this movie, I heard about this long before The Apprentice even came out, the TV show. So I never liked the guy. He always seemed arrogant, always seemed this, that. Regardless, I'm not changing any tunes because the people who love that about him, love that about him. People who hate that about him, hate that. I just don't. My point when I watched this was, it was nothing new other than there's a couple of things he does in this that I'm if they put it in the movie, that's stupid and he didn't do it, that's just dumb. I don't know why. But if they put it in the movie and he did do it, it's despicable. It sucks. But that's the things I learned on top of all of the stuff I had already heard. So the only real thing I'm going to give this is Sebastian Stan did a pretty good job. I like him in other stuff. Watch A Different Man. He does a good job in that too. But this felt, and two sides of the same coin, this felt like what the Reagan movie was. It's great. He's God to you. He's God. Trump is Christ. I get it. No, but Reagan is, I'm not saying that, by the way. That is not a declaration made by me. So
you heard it here first.
Shut the fuck up. No. But with Reagan, I didn't mind that it was so propaganda. I didn't mind that it was so glorifying this guy. But if you're gonna make an just tell us. Don't tell us a real biopic about the man. And it's and gloss over all of his atrocities. These are still people in history. Stop glorifying and at least show their atrocities. But in the same side of it, with Trump's movie, The Apprentice, and Sebastian Stan playing him, it was what did you make it for? There's no real story. You made it to this is bait for the election. Oh yeah, he was a real piece of shit. And now listen, I guess there's merit in that, but make a documentary. You know, I'm sure there's 1,000 documentaries made, but like you make this movie, and if for the same reason the other side made Reagan, it's like I don't want to watch a movie that just shits on a human being for 2 hours.
Right.
You know, because that makes me feel negative.
Mhm.
You know, like so, like I don't like it. Just like when I'm watching a Reagan movie, and I'm like, this isn't interesting filmmaking because all you're doing is saying this guy was like the second coming of everything. And I remember the atrocities. I know them. I know what's going on, and it's fucking fine. But tell a good movie. The biggest sin here is both movies are boring as sin, and that's my biggest issue. That's what I'm going to say. Vote however you're going to vote. I don't give a fuck. My rating for this movie is 2.5. Well put together. I like how some of the actors in it and what they did. In terms of telling a period piece of the 80s and somebody who is a huge figure in the 80s, that's what I mean is well put together. I didn't really like anything else. There's no positivity to it. There's nothing. I'm not even saying that you have to make him the positive vibe, but there's nothing positive in this movie. Everything in it is just abysmally depressing. So I just did not enjoy it that much, but it's middle of the road. I'm sure people will enjoy it. I would give it a 2. Thanks for watching that review. Let's move on to something I am very excited to talk about, and that is Anna Kendrick's new movie, which she starred and directed in. It's called Woman of the Year. She plays the character Cheryl, whom I did not look up the true story. I've heard it. I've seen glimpses of it somewhere, but I never watched the full thing, so I don't know much about it. But it's the true story of a serial killer that was on the dating game, and she was the young woman who was, kind of asking the questions. 3 suitors, and he was suitor number 3. His name, I'm not even saying his name because he was a vicious serial killer. Fuck. So he was on the show. He had killed a number of women beforehand. Like I think they estimated around 5 to 7. I think is what they settled on, but it could be any more than that because you don't really know. He had like a lot of pictures. He was a photographer, and it's weird. What I liked about this movie, and not to spoil it too much, but like Anna Kendrick takes the director's chair. She takes the starring role as Cheryl, who's on the dating game and a struggling actress. The things I really liked about this was she tells the story of the victims and she puts the spotlight on that more. Yep. And they're told in a very interesting way. So like if you had heard the story on YouTube, oh, there was a serial killer in a dating game, you would have never known who his victims were. But she took the time to actually do the research, film it in the right way, get it right, make sure these women were not dismissed or treated poorly, or portrayed poorly, I should say. I think she did a fantastic job in that realm. With the dating game aspect, it got me feeling hot under the collar. I'm like, with the one woman who's trying to turn this guy into nobody who will listen. Then she's trying to deal with it and goes on a date with him afterwards. Like just the whole back and forth. Very well done. Here's my thing about it. I get the point of what she was trying to say and the message of how women are treated in Hollywood. But it seems like every time we weren't watching something that was driving the story forward, we were seeing something to remind us of that. Right. And that kept taking me away from the story. Not that I don't think it's an important message to put forth. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be there, those little things. But every single time it felt like that was an interlude to the next thing that will drive the story forward. And it really did take me out of the story quite a bit. Now, for you, how did you feel about this watch?
I enjoyed it. I was excited to see her, directing debut. So I was impressed. I've heard this story through the podcast I listened to, the different podcasts I listened to.
Oh, give him a shout out.
Oh, okay. So that's My Favorite Murder. I'm not trying to incriminate myself this time. But yeah, so they've talked about this, and they do a good job about talking about the victims a lot more as well. So I did appreciate that aspect of visually, her doing it as well, because I do think that's important. I think a lot of times, people act like they're excited to hear about Ted Bundy or all these big serial killers, but you guys don't know the victims. Like, that's someone's sister, that's their son, that's their daughter, that's their dad or mom. And I feel like a lot of times we disassociate. So this one, I think, did a good job of bringing us back. I do agree with you. There were too much leaning that way where you kind of lost, like you kind of almost forgot kind of what was going on. Then you're like, oh yeah, it's about this story in particular.
And if I could just add to that, like I understood the message of like women have to deal with this on top of possibly going on a date to a place with a serial killer because nobody vetted this fucking guy or will listen. Like I get what she was trying to convey in that. I just felt it was too many things that happened and were taking away from me wanting to like jump to the next thing. So I feel bad. Like, I don't want to shit on the movie and say like it's terrible addition or anything, but it really, like, you know, I got it, but it was just a little too much.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed, whether it be the actor or her directing, I enjoyed kind of watching his mental health. It kind of reminded me of almost not to that extreme, but almost like Joker. Like you could tell, being rejected, you kind of could see him reacting to certain things. And I did enjoy that aspect because, as far as from what I've heard from the story, that's what happened. That's what caused him to kill, unfortunately, more victims is he didn't know how to handle rejection because he thought he was the one. The psychics told you were the one. He thought he was the one.
But that's the thing. I like, and that's and I want to say this to all the guys out there who are like this dude to a degree. If you can't get over rejection, what strength do you have? I don't care if you can lift a fucking boat over your head. If anyone rejects you in anything and your first thought is I want to burn everything down, you have no mental maturity, and you're just like these idiots who smoke cigars on YouTube who are screaming about women and how they're not traditional and everything's wrong with the world. Good luck. Rejection means nothing. It's a no. Let it go and move on. That's what I've learned through my life. I'm not saying I was perfect or anything like that, but that's what you learn and you grow up from. That's called maturing. And I want to point that out because this dude was infuriating throughout the entire fucking movie.
Right.
Everything he said, even when he was slyly saying things to her, like, oh yeah, he's like, oh yeah, this guy. And like, I hate you're so fake.
I hated him.
Everything about him. I was like, this is, and he even looked like a potato with long hair. Like everything about this guy, I could not take him. That being said, great freaking movie, great performances, pulled a lot of stuff out of me. My rating for this was 3.5 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5, and yours was 3 out of 5. I definitely say people should check this out, and I cannot wait to see more directed work from Anna Kendrick.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I'm excited.
And I want to point out, not to like stir the pot because I don't love being scandalous, but I do love, like, after hearing A Simple Favor and all the crap that Anna Kendrick had to kind of go through on that, all the rumors and stuff, and I'm saying the rumors, that both of them put out movies this year, and one of them did a hell of a fucking job, and it wasn't The Tall Blonde. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll never get Ryan Reynolds there. But this movie's great. I think everybody should check it out. It's on Netflix now. Woman of the Year. It starts slow. I will say that. Well, no, I shouldn't say it starts slow. Kind of kicks off right off the bat. But when I say, like, if you're looking for Anna Kendrick and what's going to happen, the connection, I mean, it starts very slow and it slow burns in that instance. This dude's story and the women, his unfortunate victims, it does not. So it's crazy, and it will infuriate you if you're not a man, babe. That's our ratings. Thanks for watching. Right? And our last one tonight, I think, is the one we were probably most excited about. We both gave it the same rating, which we'll give at the end. And here's the thing: I watched Smile when it came out in theaters, and I didn't watch it again until it came out. Actually, I watched it yesterday again for the second time. So I was refreshed in it. Did not remember it that well. I think Barbarian kind of overshadowed it for me, but
sure did. I agree.
No, going back, man, Smile was so good. But Smile 2. If you guys don't know what Smile is, go back and check it out. It's on Paramount Plus. But I will tell you, when it comes to Smile 2, do not be deceived by the title. You can watch this without watching the first one and still get it. Yeah. But it's so much nicer, and you can connect all the dots. This opening, they brought Kyle Gallner back from the first one. Well done. I was very happy about that. And how it progressed all the way through. Naomi Scott deserves so much credit. She plays Sky Riley, who is a giant Taylor Swift type of star coming back after a huge accident. She got really bad into drinking and drugs, and like got in this horrific car accident while driving with her boyfriend at the time, who was a big actor. He died. She got really hurt. You find out what happened. They were fighting, and she was so high. She caused the accident. I'm not going to say how, and you guys will find out when you watch it, but she caused the accident, which is even more trauma for her. And if you've seen Smile, you know the demon that is haunting with this feeds off of trauma. The worse, the better. And this was a terrible trauma she went through. She's now coming back to her tour, finally, after so much recuperating, rehab, all this other stuff. And everything's counted on her. All the people who are getting paid for this, everything. They're all counting on her to not mess up again, to not be that person who let everyone down. She's trying to be different, and she gets infected by this demon.
Bad.
I think Naomi Scott was wonderful. I think this movie's better than the first one because it takes it to levels in filmmaking that are better. There is a scary scene that actually took my breath away.
I hope it's the same scene.
That doesn't happen a lot in movies for me, especially horror movies. Like, it's very, like, you could show gore and I could kind of be like, oh man, that was crazy, you know, like, but not take my breath away. Like, oh, this is wrong. This feels wrong. And that is the scene when she is in her apartment and she's running down that awesome mirrored hallway, and these what do you call them? Conformist actors.
Yes.
It's her dance troupe. You saw them earlier, but they're all smiling now. They're all it's part of this whole demons thing. They're all like moving together down this hallway, and I cannot tell if it's CGI or if it's just the conformists working together, because and she's like, they're like coming over her. They film it so well, and then by the time she runs out and sees more of them out there and turns around, and the way they're kind of set up, I hope I read that was choreographed, because that is an astounding feat in choreography, filmmaking, dance, the whole nine. And it was such a brilliant scene.
Yes.
All the way throughout. This movie keeps you enthralled. She keeps you enthralled. She is fantastic. You don't know what's real, what's not real, everything that plays out, and how it ends, which I do not want to give up.
Yep.
We can kind of allude to some things. So, Paul, what did you think? Tell me your opinion.
Oh my God. So I loved it. You know, I need to watch Smile 1 because I liked Smile 1, but I love Smile 2. Yes. So I want to rewatch that. But that scene in particular, I was the first person when it first started happening. I audibly was like, oh shit. Because I was just, like you said, I was astounded. It was beautiful. I loved everything about that shot, the terror on her face. That's like a core fear of mine, because that reminds me of the Doctor Who episode with the weeping statues, where you got to look at them.
Weeping Angels. Yeah.
Thank you. Because that, for whatever reason, that's a core nightmare in my head. So like the whole aspect that she was like staring at them and they didn't move, like I was like, oh fuck, you're bringing like an actual kind of core fear of mine out, and it looked terrifying, man. Like them stacking up together and coming out. Holy shit, that scene! I want to watch it again just for that. But
yeah, this is another one, like we were talking about Caddo Lake. This is another one. As soon as it ended, I was like, I'm gonna watch this again. There's some things I'm gonna find in this.
100% gonna have to watch it again.
And
I love this
fast.
So fast.
The first movie took a while.
Someone just straight him going in for it, and it's like, oh, okay. Anyway, I'm not trying to give too much away.
Doing. And I didn't realize that was the same kid. That was the drug dealer.
Yeah.
So like, I did, as soon as I realized, I was like, oh, that's right. I was like, he was the kid that got infected, because I was thinking she was in the car accident and they were going to reveal that.
Right.
You know, they were driving and they accidentally killed him. I bit on the red herring on that one 100%.
Yep. Same.
But by the time you get to it and it goes and unfolds the way it unfolds, man. Oh, and every aspect. The mom aspect. Oh.
The demon itself. I loved it because, you know, I love puppets. So the aspect that it was almost puppety, but it was a serious thing. Like, I'm not trying to down talk and be like, you guys, hey, it's a puppet, like blah, blah, blah. Just how it looked to me was almost puppet-esque, which to me is creepier because it made it look older. And like, it didn't have to be terrifying for you to be scared, which makes it even scarier.
I agree, though. I agree with the puppeteer. It almost feels puppeteering with the long legs and the long arms. But when he hooks the smile, because he does it a few times, it feels like that's a puppeteer trying to make a smile out of somebody. I know it is. It 100% is. Puppeteer, I think, fits perfectly. That's a great way to put it. This was such a well done movie. I had such a good time with Smile 2. This is going to go down like the first one. I may watch again because I did like the acting in it was good. I thought everybody did a pretty good job. It was just the story wise, I was like, there were some unbelievable choices in characters.
Yeah.
To make the journey of her seeming crazy come off. Like the boyfriend, like you're straight up just going to roll out on her. You live with her. You know, like that's it. Like, yeah, you definitely should get married. Like you're a horrible human being, you know. But then to come to this, where everything sort of feels in play, everything is connected really well. Like I thought this was just it's a great jump. The only one of its biggest flaws, in my opinion, is not called Smiles. Because I felt like calling it Smile because she only found one smile, but she is surrounded by smiles because she's always surrounded by people.
I like that.
And then by the third one, with as big as it gets at the end of this one, and I will save that for you guys. I hope you enjoy it. And they are making another one.
Yes.
So I don't know how they're going to pull this off on such an amazingly grand scale, but they ended it well and cliffhangery enough. Because like this is one where you can end with a cliffhanger to a point, and it works because it's like this story is going to go on in some way, fashion, or somehow. And you never have to make another one, but it's still the implication's great. But if you make another one, call it Smiling.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Smiles, and smiling. I think that would just be a great. I don't know. I'm just now I'm pitching a fucking thing that so it doesn't matter if it's great or not. Who gives a shit? But I really did love Smile too. Naomi Scott. She was in. I'm so glad she was in this because she was in Aladdin, which people liked. I liked it, and I thought she did great as Princess Jasmine. But I don't think it blew anybody out of the water from memory. You know, like that going on Power. She was in the Power Rangers movie, which again. She played Kimberly. She did a great job. I didn't think it was a bad movie. I had fun with it. But again, no staying power. She had like a series of like big movies that she was in, big properties she was in that just didn't seem to really go anywhere. I know it's not going to go anywhere with this one, but I want her to do more. She's such a good actor. Doesn't have to just be hard. What she did in this movie alone blows you away. Her performance, she carries everything. There's great acting with everybody in it. But she carries this 100%. She does so good. Oh, she does so good. Anyway, our ratings.
Hell yeah.
We both gave it a 3.5 out of 5. We really enjoyed this movie. We really liked it. That's
solid movie.
And a horror movie to get a 3.5 out of 5 from me, it has to be really freaking good. Like, that's not to say anything, but like, most are bad. Yeah, but that's our ratings for that. Thank you guys for watching that. And, our mixed movie pick this week, which I'm very excited. I didn't do a mixed movie pick last week. But you can go check out the classic film review for it. It was Village of the Damned. Had a really good time with that one. If you haven't watched it, from 1960, it's a great movie. Go check out the remake too by John Carpenter. It's fantastic as well. This week's movie, which I'm very excited for, is one that I really do absolutely love, and it's the 70th anniversary, and we're doing a classic film review which will be coming out this week. Hopefully you guys check it out. It's Godzilla. If you haven't had a chance, from 1954, it's the original Japanese version. It's the best version of that movie, and probably the second best Godzilla movie. And now I do know a little bit of what I'm talking about here. We did do a 16-part event earlier this year where we watched and talked about all things Godzilla in terms of media online. Like, so movies we watched TV shows, watched other stuff. And we got really in depth with it. Go check that out if you want to as well. We did a 16-part event. That's in our Snobs film history, so we appreciate that. But Godzilla is a special place in my heart. I love Godzilla. So this classic film review and this mixed movie pick is a great one for Halloween. He's the king of the monsters. Thank you for watching that and checking it out. Let us know what you think in the comments when that comes out. So that's our mixed movie pick for this week. Paul, I want you to watch it too, because it is a horror movie. I don't want to see what you think.
Okay, absolutely. I love the Godzilla movies, so no problem.
I love it. And then next week is our Halloween special. We're going to be live.
Yes.
8 p.m. We're doing a Halloween party mixtape. I talked about it in the beginning. We're going to be doing it. Join in live. Let us know what your top picks for your Halloween movies are. We're also talking Rosemary's Baby and Apartment 7A, which one of those movies may be next week's mixed movie pick. So let's stick to that. So we'll get.
I know which one it's not.
It's also, I think we did a Discovering Horror for it too. So we've done a lot of background on these movies and such. So go check them out. And they're all different. Every show handles a little bit differently, so you can check it out. I do love them though, and I can't wait to do Halloween with you next week, buddy. Thank you, Paul, for being a part of this. Thank you all for watching Snob Nation. Paul, you have anything you want to say before we take off?
Guys, it's a tough time right now for a lot of people, and sometimes it gets better people, and I feel like a lot of times, it's mental health is very important, but it also, you need to watch yourself if you've been affected by somebody not winning that battle. So you need to keep good care of yourself as well. Like, take time to take care of yourself, because a lot of times, I know myself, I try to care for other people more, and certain events will affect me. So make sure you're checking in on yourself, because I, over the past couple of days, have had to really check in on myself, because certain situations that have been going on, and it's tough, but just be honest with yourself, reach out to people, call a friend, just tell them, hey man, I just need to talk, and if you need any help, we have the links below. But you guys try to stay strong. I want all of us to win this battle and be here next year. I want to see you guys next week, tomorrow. Your families do too. People love you. I love you. And I look forward to seeing you guys more. I'm gonna stick around for more. We all are, and we got this. You just got to take it a day at a time. It's never going to get easier, but it'll get less hard. And just know we're here for you.
Well, I one thing I will add to that, if I can, and maybe just a little bit different. It can get easier. There are things available, and this just because this year going through an intensive outpatient program for my mental health and going through therapies and things like that to deal with a lot of things going on in my life. I will say this: it can get easier when you let it. That means putting in the work. That means coping. That means using all those skills that you can learn, and they are all available. You can go check out the links, like Paul said, get help, talk to people. It can get easier. I'm not saying it only goes away and that the pain isn't there and stuff. I get that. And I know Paul gets that too. And I appreciate your message, dude. That is so amazing. And thank you so much. And you better, because I love you and we love you being around, and you're now going to become a movie guy.
Yeah.
That's a horror guy. You're not just my horror guy anymore. You're my movie guy. And we're going to keep going. So make sure to join in next week. Thank you, Paul. That was an amazing message. And I do appreciate that. And keep pushing forward, everybody. Like you said, it can get easier if you allow it to get easier, and forgive yourself. Grace. Give yourself grace. It's okay if you mess up. It's okay if something happens. It's okay. But thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, we love movies here. We love, and we know you do too. So join up on the Snob Nation. Join our Patreon for free, or one of the paid tiers. Either way, we'll get you into the Discord. We'll get you a part of our giveaways, which we are. Little preview for next month. One lucky Patreon winner, we're going to do a quick giveaway on Thanksgiving. Is going to win these Terrifier cups, never used, brand new from Fright Rags. They're original cups from Fright Rags, souvenir cups. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway for one lucky Patreon next week. We'll win both cups. Next month we'll win both cups. So keep an eye out for that. But October 31st, we will be live, and we'll be spinning the wheel to pick two winners to take these beauties home. The popcorn tin and the souvenir cup from AMC, the Beetlejuice ones. So until next time, everybody, remember to be kind to each other. Stay classy. Take care of yourselves, because that's important, like Paul said. And we will talk to you then. Keep loving the magic of what, Paul?
Movies. Not just horror, but movies.
I wasn't just going to do my bye-bye time. I was going to do his sign off too. All right, everybody, we love you. Take care. Bye.